Stories of hope where hearts connect. Side effects may include joy, advocacy, and inclusion too. You're listening to The Inclusion Effect, sharing love, strength, and respect. Side effects may include joy, advocacy, and inclusion for me and you.
Hello and welcome to The Inclusion Effect. I'm Anna and I'm here to talk with guests and with all of you about disability advocacy, inclusion, and the ups and downs of navigating a world that isn't always built for the disability community. Today's guest with me is Savannah, a Down syndrome mom and advocate, as well as an author with a background in sociology. Thanks for being here, Savannah.
Yes, thank you for having me. Super excited.
Of course. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your family.
Yes, so I'm 28. I graduated with my bachelor's in sociology. I have a 3-year-old daughter, Naya. She does have Down syndrome. She is also a heart warrior. We live in Texas. It's just me, her, and her dad here. And we're just navigating life. We're just figuring it out and having fun while we're doing it.
I love that. Okay, so Naya is your only child. So Addie is
Yeah.
my third, my daughter who has Down syndrome, and her and Naya are the same age, actually, or close. But being your first child, how did the diagnosis journey go for you?
So everything was pretty normal. So I found out I was pregnant. Obviously, it was a surprise and we were excited. We did the NPT testing to find out the gender and everything. That phone call went a little differently. Obviously, we found out a lot more information about her. It really wasn't a question whether we were going to continue or not. We just kind of kept going with everything. We scheduled the amnio and we did that, got a confirmation. And that's actually when we found out about her congenital heart defect. And that's kind of when everything became the main focus throughout the pregnancy, is just making sure her heart was okay, keeping an eye on that.
Okay, yeah, and what congenital heart defect does she have?
Naya has an AVSD, which is quite common, one of the
Yeah,
most common congenital heart defects. It's a hole on the top part of her heart and at the bottom, so it's two separate repairs that need to be done.
yeah. And while we're talking about it, you wrote a book about this.
Yes, I did. So she had her surgery when she was 6 months old. That was a really crazy time. Things didn't go quite as planned. She is doing great now. But looking back on everything, it did have a big impact on me and her dad. We got a lot of medical anxiety. We found ourselves being very nervous parents, which we didn't really see ourselves becoming
Yeah.
until it was already in practice. And I kind of used the book as a way to, I guess, to give to other parents. Obviously, it's for children, it's a children's book, but a lot of the resource material that we received at the hospital was kind of like a sigh of relief, reading other people's stories, knowing that this is something that happens. It is a process, but at the end of it, it is going to be okay for the most part. Things happen, but and I just wanted to be a part of that. So I made this book as kind of a resource for the hospitals to be able to give parents that maybe have just received a diagnosis, maybe have an older child who has just received a diagnosis, and just kind of walking them through that experience of staying at the hospital, having to rest after surgery, um, having PT and OT after surgery because we have to work to get to where we work and things might be a little different. Even the scar, that was actually one of my favorite pages to write, was her body's different now. And the scar is one of those things, but it's something to be proud of because her heart is different now. It's stronger, it's beating harder than ever, and she's ready to take on the world.
I love that. Addie has
Yeah.
different scars. She hasn't had her heart surgery yet. We're thinking next year. But Addie has different scars from her cardiac arrest, and I haven't thought about framing it like that. So I absolutely love that.
hmm
And Naya's
Yeah.
also a little to be girl like Addie, right?
Yeah, so during our hospital stay, yeah, before her surgery, she was eating pretty normal. She wasn't really gaining weight because her heart was working
Of
overtime. She
course.
needed the surgery. Um, but we didn't have eating issues until after her surgery. She really didn't want to take anything by mouth. And obviously that's really important. Her body went through a lot. You need that recovery, you need the nutrition. So we did decide to get the tube placed during that stay. And it's been about 2.5 years now, and we're actually filtering off of it with a lot of, yeah,
Are you?
with
That's
a lot of
awesome.
therapy and just working with her, seeing what she likes, what she doesn't like. We did a lot of time like thickening liquids, playing
Been
around
there.
with those. Yes. And now we're just kind of in this waiting period to where she's not really reliant on it, but she's not really taking in the adequate amount of foods that she should be. She's being a
Yeah,
normal 3-year-old. She's super picky. It's
of
like
course.
it's goldfish or nothing. But but
I get
yeah,
it.
so
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a journey, but a short one, and it is coming to a close. But the tube experience was great. Anytime I see questions, or sometimes moms have an NG tube and they're considering a G tube, I always comment. I'm like, get the G
hmm
tube. It is much easier on you. It's much easier on them. Yes, there's some kinks in there, but it's nothing you can't figure out. It's really beneficial. I'm an advocate for the G tube
I
if it's
completely
a
agree.
question.
I also the same thing. When I see somebody commenting or like posting about like they're unsure, I'm all over it because Addie had an NG tube for 7.5, 8-ish months as a child, as an infant. I mean, she still is a child, but it was horrible. We kept pushing off the G tube. We kept pushing it off, saying, "Well, maybe she'll eat," and I regret it so much. The G tube has saved us in like so many ways. It keeps her healthy so often. I'm sure you know it keeps them out of the hospital because they're going to take
Hmm.
medication whether they want to or not. They're going to get the
Yep.
nutrition whether they want to or not. They'll be hydrated. So yeah, and I have, I swear to God, nightmares about putting the NG2 back in at like 3 a.m. with a screaming baby. Oh my God, you couldn't pay me to go back to that.
Yeah, no. I think she had the NG tube for like maybe like 3 days,
Yeah.
and it came out once, and I was like, no,
Uh-huh.
she's not doing it.
Uh-huh.
We need
It's
other options.
horrible. Yep, it's horrible. I
Yeah,
don't know how we did it for so long. So yeah, good for you for advocating and getting that G-tube for her right away.
no, but that's great. Yeah. Um, but yeah, no, that's pretty much where we're at with our journey. The biggest part about her being a heart warrior, um, dang. So they were super confident. When I was pregnant and we did the amnio and they saw it, they told us, they explained, and they said, this is so common. We fix this like that.
Mm-hmm.
It is not going to be an issue if, things happen, but we're really confident about
Yeah.
the way everything looks. So we were confident. Of course, I found the Down Syndrome Diagnosis Network. I joined the birth groups, the heart groups. We're all over that in the pregnancy. So
Yes.
it was a lot of like, there was anticipation, there was a little bit of worry, but I wouldn't say we were scared. Felt very routine with the way they handled stuff. Now, her actually having the surgery did not go so routine. Um, she came out and they informed us that she needed 2 rounds of bypass. So they put her on bypass once, they did the repair, they removed her from bypass, and they noticed that there was still a lot of leakage. So they put her back on bypass, fixed the amount of leakage that they saw, took her off bypass, and finished the surgery. When we saw her in her room, she was in the CICU, the cardiac intensive care unit.
Mm-hmm.
Everything seemed normal. They were watching her numbers. She just had major heart surgery, so there wasn't a lot to expect at that moment. We spent the rest of the evening there at her bedside, and it was about 11:30 that night. Everybody came rushing in. It became super urgent. We really didn't know what was going on. They told us to leave the room. We did. We were scared. We listened right away, and we waited until they came to talk to us and let us know that her numbers were desaturating. They were going very, very low. She was in heart failure, and they did an emergency opening. They reopened her chest
Oh wow.
and left her open. Yeah. They saw slight improvement with that, but by 6 o'clock in the morning, so it had only been about like maybe 6 hours, they decided that they needed to put her on ECMO. Her chest was already open. That was the best option. So we had her on ECMO, and that came with its own set of risks, but we talked to everybody, and that was the best plan of care for her. So that was our route.
Yeah,
And
and
it was only, Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'm sure most people that are listening to this know, but ECMO it's like a life support machine that makes your heart and lungs work for you if you can't do it yourself. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, so she had like the life support machine, she had the ventilation, she had the ECMO for about, I think it was about 5 days. Yeah, because it was on the 23rd whenever she was finally okay enough for them to take her off of the ECMO. And they still left her chest open just in case something happened. So this whole time she's open. That was
What was that
that was a
like?
wild experience.
Yeah.
Um, so I had seen similar things. It was just every so often throughout the months in the heart group of this happening. So I'm glad that I was able to see and not like feel fear from it because when I walked in, all I saw was her face. She was still beautiful. She was still her. Like there was a lot going on, but the initial walk in, it was her. And that's all that I was really able to focus on. I mean, looking back, it was crazy.
Yeah,
But
of course.
in the moment, the chest open, tubes everywhere, the machines everywhere, it didn't affect me as much as I thought it was going to. It was really just about her and just
Yeah.
being grateful that all this was here and capable to keep her alive and, you know, let
Yeah.
her recover the way that she needed to. And yeah, so she got decanalized on the 23rd, so about 5 days. They finally closed her on the 27th. She was okay. Um, and then they extubated her on February 2nd. So it was about 2 weeks before we saw her open her eyes again from the initial surgery date because she had to be very sedated um, because she was open. She
Mhm.
had the ventilation and everything. So it was a very long 2 weeks, but her eyes finally opened again. And we started that recovery process of trying to feed her, trying to get her to move her arms, trying to wean off of the sedation and the pain medicine and the sedatives. And that process, it wasn't, I mean, I feel like it was a normal hospital stay. Like they had moved us out of the CICU after she was taken off ventilation, and we were on the normal pediatric floor. And I mean, I feel like y'all talked about that on the podcast, the
Yeah.
differences between there. So we won't have to go through that, but it was a pretty average hospital stay. Um, and I mentioned that we got her G-tube placed just because she was having a really hard time eating. She didn't want to open her mouth. She really didn't want to suck too hard, which is understandable. Her throat's
Yeah.
probably sore. It was, yeah, so we didn't fight it. I didn't try too hard in the hospital. I was like, let's just get her the G-tube, get her what she needs so we can take her home. And
Yeah.
that was our main focus.
That's
And after
awesome.
about 2 months, yeah, we got home.
That is eventful. Yeah. Wow. I'm so glad she's doing so good now. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So, as first time parents, and I don't know what your family planning is. I don't know if you plan on having another child at some point, but how has this colored your experience? What do you think? Because this is not how parenting typically goes. I'm sure most people know
Yes.
that.
Yeah, so that's been something we've had to navigate as well, is this is kind of our only experience that we've known as parents. So we talk about it sometimes with having another baby or giving her a sibling, but right now her cousins are enough. She socializes enough with them and at therapy and stuff. Um, I she has cousins, so that are around similar ages. One's a little older, one's a little younger. So seeing those milestones hit a little differently, it didn't really affect me as much. I guess because she
Really?
had yeah, she had surgery so young, like she was
Yeah.
6 months old. So every time I start to be like, oh, well, she's not doing, I'm like, well, she had surgery. She had a
Yeah.
heart surgery. So let's give her some wiggle room. And you know, she progresses every day. So it's hard to even say like, oh, she's not sitting up yet, or like, oh, she's not walking yet, like because she's scooting or she's pulling, or you see those
Yeah.
little progressions. So I like to call them inch stones
I love
instead of
that. That's one of
milestones.
my favorite terms people use. I love inch
Yes,
stones.
me too. So like just keeping an eye on those inch stones. And
Yeah.
yeah, just knowing that she is gonna get there. Like all the signs are there. She just gotta give her some space, give her some time. Um, I mean, she works. We push her. I definitely give her some space. I try not to get caught up in like the timelines of things, just
Yeah.
because Yeah, I mean, you know as well as any other parent with a special needs child knows, it's like everybody's unique. It's gonna happen. It's just
Mm-hmm.
all about patience.
Absolutely. I almost wonder if this being your first child has helped you in some ways with that. Like, if a lot of us parents who have older kids before our kids that have disabilities that have Down syndrome, we're like, well, our other child did XYZ at this time and this kid isn't doing that. You know what I mean? I wonder if that almost helps because I had a
I'm
lot of
sure,
stress about that at first.
yeah, I'm sure it does because I don't have that like right here comparison right in front of me.
Yeah.
Like, so it is really easy to just enjoy her when it's just her and just kind of think everything she does is super special and super
And it
great.
is.
And it is. No, it really is. But I could imagine, like, if she wasn't my first, like, if I had gone through this before and I knew how it was supposed to be,
Yeah,
how
totally.
that journey could have altered a little bit. But no, everything I struggled with was a very common mom struggle. Like, it was more
Yes.
like, oh, she's crying. I don't know how to get her to go to sleep type of thing. Or like, um, she wants to eat every 30 minutes, but only take two or three sips type of thing. It was very normal mom things that I was dealing with. So I never really felt like it was her Down syndrome diagnosis or any of the other health concerns that were navigating that or like pulling that parenting. It was always just like kind of a normal experience.
Savannah, I love that so much. That is so refreshing to hear because that's just not what I hear or what I experience. So that's amazing. I love hearing that perspective. Truly, that's great.
Yeah.
That's so great for you guys.
Good. No, we have been really blessed throughout the entire journey with Naya. Like,
Yeah.
I've really felt it. I mean, everybody has their ups and downs. I did deal with a little bit of postpartum, but
Yeah.
that was mostly just being home all the time and just super concerned
Was
about her.
she a 2022 baby also?
Yes, she
20,
was born in
yeah.
July of
So there
2022.
was still, I don't know about Texas. In Oregon, I had a 2021 baby and then Addie was 2022. They're 15 months apart. And there is still
Hmm.
COVID stuff going on, COVID precautions and stuff like that here. I don't know about there. But that
Yes.
definitely affected some of my postpartum journey.
Yes, there was a lot of COVID. There was a lot of new strains popping up. So it
Mm-hmm.
was like we were just coming out of COVID and then boom, it kind of surged again during that time period.
Mm-hmm.
And before her heart surgery, they didn't want us to take her anywhere. They wanted very limited family, do not
Yeah.
let her get sick, keep her super safe. Once we got her home, it was the same situation. So FaceTime is great. We've been loving FaceTime, but we didn't get a lot of family or friends coming through. We didn't go anywhere other than doctor's appointments. And a lot of the time, it was me right in front of her, just watching her,
Yeah.
making sure she was breathing, making sure she
Yeah.
wasn't pulling on the tube, making sure she wasn't messing with her incision. And it was during that period that things started to like, I started to have the normal postpartum thoughts of like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. It might be too much to handle.
Yeah.
Um, and like, of course, there was the extra like tube, which adds to that. It's like, okay, this might be too much for me. But
Yeah.
every time I felt that way, she would just be okay. It's like, okay, like she's just looking at you so calm and smiling, and you're like, okay, I guess it's not that stressful. Nothing's that major if you're over there laughing, so it's okay.
I love that. Oh my gosh.
Hmm.
Okay. So
Yeah.
we had talked before I started recording about how you finished college while you were pregnant with her and your
Hmm.
degree is in sociology. So do
Yes.
you think that, well, I guess go ahead and tell us what sociology is really fast. I think most people probably know, but go ahead.
Okay, so sociology is one of the social sciences that really focuses on the social components that affect our everyday life. So certain laws that are in place, social practices, exchanges, different things like that that overlap into affecting our everyday to day, the way we think, the way we see ourselves, the way we identify ourselves, things of that nature.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And I have talked on here many times, on my social media many times, and then with you about how people kind of forget sometimes that being disabled is a minority and it is the only minority that you can join at any time in your life and that you will join if you live a nice long life. So being disabled really isn't some kind of anomaly. It's not some kind of othering. it's something that we should be fighting for because we all are affected by this. How do you think that your academic background has shaped the way that you parent, and more so than parenting, advocate for NIA and for disabled people?
Yeah, so during my time in school, we focused a lot on the different marginalized communities. And like you mentioned, being someone with a disability, you are part of a marginalized community. We talked a lot about different types of disabilities. Down syndrome was one of the most common and something that we covered pretty fully. I think that really helped in the pregnancy journey, just
Yeah.
already having an understanding of what was going on, um, the life expectancy and like the quality of life, knowing that it really didn't have anything to do with the diagnosis rather than the lifestyle that we choose to give her and the environment that we choose to bring her up in.
Yeah.
And that really helped. Um, yeah, going into the appointments is something we see sometimes is throughout the pregnancy, we were asked multiple times whether we were going to continue or not.
Yep.
Even even when we walk in smiling and excited and can't wait to see her on the ultrasound, they still ask the question. And
Mm-hmm.
I actually started to wonder if they had to or if it was something that they were just offering, but it started occurring so often that I asked them to make a note to stop in the
That's smart,
file. I was like,
actually.
this is yeah, I'm not sure if you're just going by like whatever standard or the hospital policies are or whatever. Because I mean, everybody should have the option. You should be well
Yeah.
informed, things like that. But by like the 4 month mark, it was getting to like, okay, no, I just want to see her.
Yeah.
Let's
I
just pull her
will,
up.
oh, sorry. I will
No,
say,
God.
as somebody else who found out early on in pregnancy with the NIPT test, just like you did, I think we were like 11 and a half, 12 weeks. We also got asked about termination a billion times. I am a little bit surprised. I'm in a blue state. I'm a little bit surprised in Texas that you got asked that many times too, though. But it does seem to be a universal experience, unfortunately.
Yes. Yeah, I've heard that a lot, that it is a universal experience with that.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yes. And then even so, after she had her surgery that night, when they were deciding to put her on ECMO or not, there was an argument between the physicians, the doctors that were in the room.
Gosh.
And we were in the room as well. We were behind the curtain. We were listening to what was going on. And one of the doctors said that she didn't qualify for ECMO. She wasn't doing as bad as she needed to be for ECMO, and he wanted to wait. And another doctor, she was actually a visiting attending at the hospital during that time. She spoke up and she goes, well, have you talked to the parents about it? And she pulled the curtain back. Boom, we were filled in right away. And we're like, no, why are we waiting? Like, this is
Yeah.
not something you wait for. And she was like, okay, you heard them. They said it. They have all the information and you know. So we need to get this going. And that's whenever the decision to put her on ECMO was there. But hearing what was going on, it doesn't seem like it should have been a question. Maybe I'm just saying that because it's my daughter, but it doesn't feel like it should have been an argument. And the fact that she's okay today and that she started recovering from being on the ECMO, looking back, it's like, why was this even an argument? Why did they stand there for 10 minutes discussing whether or not she needed this or not? And that was an experience that I didn't realize could have had to deal with her having Down syndrome until I started doing more
Mm-hmm.
research and realized how these laws do not include our children.
Yeah.
And like I learned about the baby,
Baby doe.
what was it, baby
The baby
doe?
doe law,
Yeah.
1984. Yeah.
Yes, I didn't know that that was just in 1984 to where
Yeah.
up until that point they could refuse medical care.
And even more than that, I
That,
I just posted about this. Even more than being able to refuse heart surgeries and stuff, they could refuse feeding newborns with Down
yeah.
syndrome. They would let them
Mhm.
starve to death if that doctor saw it fit. Because they, for everybody listening, the reason was because they thought that they would have no quality of life. In
Mhm.
1984, a child died, and there was a lawsuit, and the baby doe law was um, legislated and passed. And the baby doe law basically says that you have to provide all life-saving measures for any child where, unless it's a quality of life issue where they're going to die regardless, um,
Mhm.
basically. to put in my own words that are not as smart as lawmakers, but off the top of my
No,
head,
but
that's what it is.
that's
So
exactly,
it's
yeah.
horrific, and we had a few similar experiences. I think I actually haven't told my full story on the podcast yet. I will at some point, but Addie had a cardiac arrest. We knew something was wrong. We took her to the ED multiple times. It was 3 times within 24 hours, and they kept sending us home and telling us she was just sick, even though she was negative for everything. And then when they finally did admit us, they kept talking about transferring her up to the children's hospital because it's just a local hospital, but they kept pushing it off because she just has Down syndrome. She just isn't wanting to eat. She's okay. And she ended up almost dying. And,
Yeah.
in hindsight, same as you, in hindsight, I'm like, well, that was a lot of maybe unintentional, but biases that happened. So it's really
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Even like these routine doctor's appointments,
Mm-hmm.
pediatrician appointments, we get, oh, it's just her Down syndrome. I might bring up that,
Mm-hmm.
oh, she's been having a runny nose for the past few days. She might be getting a little sick. Oh, her sinuses are small. She has narrow airways. I'm like, I know this.
You're like,
I
I'm
know.
aware,
I,
and
yes, I'm aware, and I see her every day, and this is running. Like, this is not, you know,
yeah.
oh, one of our first appointments it was a developmental clinic
Mm-hmm.
for Down syndrome. And we went, and she had already had her surgery. She was about 10 months old, and she was rolling over again already. Because she started rolling over at like 4 months.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, she was a wiggle worm. She's very active. But they were checking her muscle tone and everything on the little table, and the doctor had turned around to talk to us, and we were like, "Oh, she rolls." We're like, "She rolls," and she goes, "Oh, okay." And she still turned around,
Not
and
believing you.
she almost fell completely off the table. She had to like scoop her, and we just said that she rolled. And in that moment, I was like, she did not believe me,
Mm-hmm.
or she was not expecting a full roll out of Naya.
Mm-hmm.
She was expecting less from her
Mm-hmm.
than what I said she did. So that was one of the first moments that I was like, okay, there's going to be more moments like this.
Yeah.
And I need to know how to handle them. I need to know how to navigate my feelings with that because I was angry.
Yes.
She
It's hard
almost
not to
fell.
be.
Yes, and I warned her. So it was more like of a little frustrating moment, but realizing that there was going to be more of those. There were going to be people who did not take our word for granted, or Naya could prove it right in front of them, but they were going to have their own beliefs of what she was going to be capable of or is capable of. And I knew that we just had to do our best, and she's going to do her best eventually to prove people wrong and change those beliefs.
Absolutely. I think that's so important to point out because a lot of times when we talk about ableism, we're thinking of somebody saying the R word, somebody saying,
Yes.
don't sit with me, you have Down syndrome, somebody saying, these outright ableist, horrible things, when so often it's these things that, a lot of times they don't even mean to do. They're just inherent ableist beliefs that are built into our society against our children. And
Mhm.
it's so infuriating. I agree with you completely. It's hard as a parent not to just want to rage constantly.
Yes, it's those small microaggressions that
Yes.
really end up sticking out to me because I know how much of an effect they can have on a person and the way that she sees herself.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
mean, and it's really just catching those small things and just something that I love is in the Down syndrome community, we use person first language. And
Mhm.
that's in a lot of people with disabilities, that's in a lot of those communities.
Mhm.
People first language is one of the best ways that I feel like communicating a disability is because they're a person first. I have a 3-year-old toddler and she has Down syndrome. It's not a Downs baby
I
or
hate that one.
I know, right? Like that's a hard one. And sometimes it's people in the community that use it.
Yes.
And I'm
People,
like,
especially that are a
no,
little bit older, usually will say a
yes,
Downs baby, and they don't even really mean bad. You're just like,
yes,
ooh, ugh. Yeah.
exactly. Like a lot of these things are not on purpose or
Mhm.
intentional, or sometimes they're not even like mean or malicious, like you mentioned. It's a lot of just people having this idea in their head instead of looking at what is in front of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard, her name is like Ellie Goldstein,
Yes.
or
Yes.
yes, she's on the BBC's
Mm-hmm.
Strictly Come Dance, like they're Dancing with the
Mm-hmm.
Stars.
Yep. I follow her
I
on
saw that
everything.
there was, yeah, I saw that there was controversy. I was like, what can be controversial about her dancing? And a lot of it is people being overly nice. They're saying, oh,
Oh,
how
I
cute.
see.
She must be working so hard. I hope that they're taking good care of her. I like, and it's people showing that they care,
Mm-hmm.
but it's kind of an infantile, they're kind of like infantizing
Absolutely.
her
Yes.
at that point. So it's those kind of things that I really like to advocate for changing. Like, yes, Naya's 3, she is nonverbal, but she's very independent.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
If
yeah,
you
Addie
take,
too.
yeah, yes. And if you take the time to look and kind of see how she's communicating, you will understand her and she will get the point across. And it's kind of things like that. Like you mentioned the ableism. It's not always negative. Sometimes it might be coming from a good place, but it's those ideas that you have that could not be seeing the person and just the disabilities.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Hmm.
2 weeks ago, I talked with Matthew Schwab. He is
Hmm.
an adult. He's in his 20s. I forget his exact age, late 20s, I believe. And he has Down syndrome. He lives on his own. He has a fiance. He's got his own business. He's doing the damn thing. He's kicking butt. And
Hmm.
we talked about how sometimes people, other adults, talk down to him like it's very infantilizing. They talk to him like he's
Yep.
not an adult, and he is. And
Hmm.
it's just, yeah, it's something that our community has to deal with, unfortunately, and it's something that I really think that with education, the general population could learn and get better about.
Hmm.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in what ways, going off of your sociology background and what we just talked about, do you think that, how do I want to phrase this? um, Policies and institutions, either locally, like in school systems in your community, or bigger picture, government, etc., our society, how do they kind of reinforce ableism? Because we were talking about unintentional ableism. How do you think that's sort of reinforced in our community?
Yeah. So wait, hold on. I'm sorry. You said how do the current policies reinforce ableism?
Yes. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot. Matthew Schwab mentioned, I actually didn't know about this until the episode, but he's fighting for workers' rights for people with
Yes.
disabilities. And I didn't know that the pay was a thing. I thought every person who is legally working is legally obligated to make minimum wage. I did
No.
not know that affected people with
It's
disabilities.
horrific. Yeah.
So there's still a lot that I'm unraveling, that I'm learning about. Um, the closest thing to us right now would probably be school, where you're not currently sending her. The biggest thing is that there are not a lot of special education teachers. They are making lots of cuts. Currently, where we're located, at the school districts, I'm in the little groups. I read things all the time. They have too many children in the classroom. And that type of thing, it's it's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine my daughter being able to get the focus and
Yes.
attention that she requires to learn with multiple students that require that same amount of attention.
Yes.
Yeah. And I've seen a lot of pushback on IEPs. I personally haven't had to deal with that yet. Like I said, she's about 3.5, so we're getting there. But the biggest thing that I see people struggling with is their IEPs, their individualized education plans, and the schools not being able to or refusing to hold up to what the plan is. Or, yeah. And I feel like that, yeah, no, everybody has a right to an education.
Yes.
Even, and I feel like we're obligated to assist with that education in whatever means we can. So it is hard to see that a lot of people are opting to homeschool. And that's something that we're considering is homeschooling for those first few years.
Yes.
Um, I get a little conflicted about this because that's most likely the route that we're going to go down. But I feel like I shouldn't have to keep her separate from everybody else. Everybody is going to be very excited to go to school, first day, backpacks, things like that, getting with your classmates. And I feel like she should be able to be a part of that. But the amount of things that are going on right now, we're just not comfortable with it.
Yeah,
You know, like
absolutely.
it's very hard to be on board with that.
It is, yeah. Addie started preschool this year. She's been in preschool for about a month now. And if we did not have where I live all the supports necessary, she's got a one-on-one aide. She has a nurse in her classroom, mostly full time. She's not there first thing in the morning, but um, she has a bus aide. Her brother's in her class because they're so close in
Oh,
age,
wow.
which is great because he's a yapper, so she doesn't talk,
Yeah.
but I hear everything still.
Yeah, he'll fill
So
you in.
really, yeah, exactly. So really, and it's not the public school, it's through a Head Start and early intervention
Okay.
class. So it's like a combo. I guess it is through the public school, but not exactly. So we
Hmm.
got really fortunate that we were able to safely put her in a preschool. If all of that wasn't the case, if all of that didn't fall together just like that, she wouldn't be in school. And
Hmm.
on top of that, we are still discussing homeschooling in 2 years when she's ready for kindergarten. And I know
Hmm.
in Texas, I don't know the exact year off the top of my head, but recently, in recent years, Texas has been sued for not following IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, to the T, and not accommodating kids with disabilities. And that's terrifying. In Oregon,
Yes.
we have a better track record of following IDEA, but we're one of the last states for education in general. So, still, what can you expect? Like, you can
Yeah.
expect classes with too many kids in it, teachers that are overwhelmed and don't make enough money and aren't able to give our kids what they need. Not that they don't want to, but that they're not able to. And that all of
Exactly.
that forces, not without getting too political, all of that forces kids out of the classroom into homeschooling. And homeschooling is a great option. I think it's amazing if that's what you feel like you're called to do for your family, that's what you think is best for them. That's amazing. But being forced to do it is a different thing. That's a different beast.
Exactly. Yes, and I think, yeah, thank you for putting that into words because I'm all for homeschooling. Like, yes, if we're able to do it, let's do it. But the fact that I feel that it's my only option at this point
Mm-hmm.
is where I get a little frustrated with it because
Yes.
I would love to go back to work. I would love to have her go to school during the day and maybe do something while she's at school or things like that, and it would help financial. Oh, that's another intersectionality of it is our
Yep.
socioeconomic status is, I mean, we're very blessed. We're in a good situation where I can be home with her most of the day, but eventually we are going to need something more substantial,
Mm-hmm.
especially as she gets older,
Yeah.
especially if we want our family to grow and that type of thing. And it kind of confines us into a box. It kind of puts a ceiling there whenever my only option is to stay at home and homeschool her.
Absolutely.
So it definitely feels like a cap sometimes. Um, but like most things, we kind of just kind of see how it goes. Maybe just those first couple of years, maybe till she's a little more confident with her voice and we're more confident in what she's saying to us. And being able to advocate for herself is the main thing. Is I want her to be able to tell me if something is going on and for her to
Yes.
stop something if it is, and that
Yeah.
type of thing.
Absolutely. That's
Hmm.
such a good point. I wasn't able to work when Addie was born. We had planned on me working still. We had been a two-income household our entire relationship, our entire marriage. And then we actually bought a house we closed 17 days before Addie was born, and then Addie was born and it was like she was sick and bam, I had to be unemployed all of a sudden and it was all just
Yeah.
such a whirlwind. And I have gone back to work recently, but in a totally different career, so a totally different field only because it's not a 9 to 5. So I completely understand.
Mm.
And I think that's something that a lot of disability families completely relate to is that there's a disability, quote unquote, you can't see me, but quote unquote tax that families with disabled kids are paying, be it with loss of income, be it with having to pay for additional accommodations and aids, be it having to do homeschooling or pay for a private school. We're paying for it. And that's just inequitable. It just is. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You put it straight into words. It's a tax. It's an unseeable tax. Even just missing a day of work or a few hours
Yeah.
for a doctor's appointment. That's it has an effect, especially whenever those doctor's appointments are twice a month for the next 6 months, or it
Yeah.
definitely adds up there.
Absolutely, yes, yeah. So, how do you feel everyday people? Because again, if we move the focus off of our bigger society as a whole to maybe like your local community, my local community. How do you feel like people in your everyday life can be better allies to the disability community, to Naya, to Addie, to adults with Down syndrome or with other disabilities?
The biggest thing is talk to us. Let's have a conversation. We catch people staring all the time. They're
Yes.
usually staring with smiles. You know, they think she's adorable. I'll even make eye contact and say hi first sometimes, or sometimes her. Sorry, you froze for a second. Is it okay? Yeah, yeah. Um, they always end up telling us how cute she is and how they were just looking at her bow or her shirt. So the biggest thing that I think other people can do is talk first. Just we're out here, we're at the grocery store, we're at the park, we're at a doctor's appointment. So if you see her, you think she's cute, or maybe you're curious, maybe you're like, oh, does she have Down syndrome? Or she looks a little different. And like, that's okay. Talk to us about it.
Yeah.
And I think that goes with anybody because we see families. I don't see a lot of families with young kids with Down syndrome other than at our appointments and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but I see a lot of adults in the community. And I do notice that they get overlooked quite often, especially if they are working. And that kind of upsets me. I mean, we go out of our way to say thank you to everybody, hold the door open for everybody. Any type of service is you say thank you for. And I've noticed that a lot of people will have genuine interactions, make eye contact with, let's say, a cashier, and just kind of glance over the person who's bagging their groceries. Or maybe just kind of scoot right past somebody who um, is there with their parents. Maybe they have a disability. It's not always Down syndrome, but you understand. There'll be families like in a wheelchair or any type of situation to where people kind of give them space. You can tell that like everybody kind of takes a couple of steps back. And maybe, like we said, it's not out of meanness. Maybe they think the family wants that space. But I think at the end of the day, what anybody wants is real engagement
Yes.
and just to be really seen. Um, Maybe asking if you could help at all, or maybe just saying hi. Honestly, just saying hi is way better than just staring us down.
Yes.
Like on,
I hate noticing the stare from
yeah,
across like the grocery store or the park or whatever. I'm like, oh my gosh, do I need to say something?
yeah,
What's going on? I hate that. Yeah.
yes.
Okay. So, what do you think is the most important thing that you've learned along this journey, disability parenting?
My biggest lesson I've had to learn is we're looking for progress, not for perfection. That is the biggest thing. Progress over perfection with everything.
Yes.
Um, Lots of patience. I've always been the type of person to where nothing could be wrong because there's always a solution to everything. There's always something that can be done. And there were certain moments, I mean, through her heart journey and even through regular development and stuff to where there really wasn't anything I could do besides wait. And that those were some of the biggest lessons I've had to learn. Those were some of the hardest lessons I've had to learn is sometimes the only thing I can do is be here and wait and stay positive. And that's the
Yeah.
most important thing to do. And like I said, letting go of all those ideals and not being a perfectionist about everything. It's okay that she doesn't sit still for her hair to be done.
Oh
Like,
God, the
it's
hair.
okay. Yeah, the hair. Oh my God. Because I get so many accessories for her and I know how to braid hair. I know how to do hair. So I'm like,
Yes.
just let me.
Oh, it will be
But
a cold day in hell before Addie lets
yeah,
me braid her hair. Oh my gosh. Yes. No way.
yes,
No way.
yeah. We're sticking with the bun,
Uh-huh.
ponytail sometimes, but yeah,
Uh-huh.
no, she's a wild one. So yeah, just really letting go of the perfectionist idea of how things should be and just loving the way that they are currently.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah.
I love that. Okay, last question. If you could tell everybody one thing about Naya that you just love, what would it be?
Oh,
I know.
I love how active she is. Sometimes she's a handful, but honestly, seeing her be so athletic and just determined to do the things she wants to do, it just blows my mind. Like, it is, it's incredible. It took her about like 6 months before she could really stand on her feet. So she was probably about a year and a half at that point,
Yeah.
but it did not stop her from pulling up. We had like little dangly bars. Anytime she got her hands on the edge of something, she was up. And that's really impressive for somebody who was left open for at least 10 days. And like her upper body strength is phenomenal. And yeah, anything she wants or sees, she will find a way to get it. She is climbing on things. She is taking things apart. She's moving things around her room so she can climb on them.
Oh, yeah.
Her determination is something to behold. It's beautiful.
I love that. Oh, she sounds amazing.
Thanks.
Oh, thank you for sharing us with that. Wow. Thank you for sharing that with us, Savannah. So, where can
No, of
everybody
course.
find you if they want to go follow you, get your book, anything like that?
Yeah, so I am on Facebook. I'm also on TikTok, Savannah Amaro. I'm currently trying to get my book available on Amazon. So
Oh,
right now I just have a couple of hard copies that I take with me to doctor's appointments just to leave at the hospital
I love
and stuff.
that.
Yeah, but hopefully it'll be available for the public soon. I might even try to sell it at the Buddy Walk next year.
Yeah. Okay, keep
Yeah,
me updated. If it does get on
for
Amazon,
sure.
I'll share that with everybody for sure.
For sure. Thank you so much.
Of course. Okay, everybody. If you've made it this far, please follow my podcast, leave me 5 stars, share this with a friend or two. Also follow along on social media. My TikTok is at The Inclusion Effect. It's also on Instagram and Facebook at The Inclusion Effect. And thank you so much to everyone for helping me build this community of amazing, passionate advocates. Thanks, Savannah.
Yeah.